about 12 ounces of coffee here, which is about 3/4 of a pound, that I'm going to put in here. And this, you just want to take your chaff collector out like that. And then the basket here, on one side it's just held in by gravity, on the other side it's actually slides in to where the motor turns it. So you want to lift the left side, just pull it out just like that, and open the end here like that. And this is where the coffee goes. I'm using some leftover El Salvador Finca Nazareth coffee. It's a nice large Behmor bean, which hopefully you'll be able to hear the cracks on it when I'm roasting it. You put it in the right side first, turn it until it snaps in, and drop in the left side, and there you go. Put this back in, close the door. Very easy. Okay, so now we need to set the controls to start the roast. Now the first decision you have to make is the top line. What you want to do is you want to start at the top and work your way down, kind of in a logical way. At the top you have 3 options for the roast weight: quarter, half, and 1 full pound. Now this is where you have to think about it, because you got to think about how dark do you want to roast versus how much coffee you want to roast. If you do a full pound and you press the 1 pound button, you're going to get, it will roast a full pound, but it's going to be a very light roast because it's going to limit you on how long it's going to let you roast. Because remember, you can't change the time and other things once you start the roast. You have to think about this before you start. And like I said, I recommend starting with 12 ounces, which is, right around 3/4 of a pound. You can weigh that out, or you can just kind of eyeball it. It's up to you. And then I tell the roaster that it has a full pound, even though it doesn't. So you can experiment with those 2 parameters with, which will result in a different roast level at the end. Of course, you can always press the cool button whenever you want, and stop it early. So the more time you have, the better. But I recommend starting, especially if you just got your Behmor, start with 3/4 of a pound, tell it you have 1 pound. You can even, if you want to go, and if that's not dark enough for you, reduce the amount of coffee you put in until you get it to where you want it. It takes a little bit of experimentation, but for me, generally, I do 3/4 of a pound. So I'm going to hit the 1 pound button, which automatically puts 18 minutes on the screen there. The other thing I'm going to do is these are all roast programs that I can put in. So I just usually go with A, and then I'm going to increase the amount of time, and it'll let me go up to 20 minutes and 30 seconds. So that gives me as much time as possible. And then here I have pre-programmed roast profiles, and actually in the instruction manual, it'll show you a graph corresponding with each one of these, so you can see what's happening. We're going to go with P1 right now, and then here's your light on and off. I keep the light on, and then we're going to start. There we go. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go for 2 minutes, and then stop the roaster, and then start it again in exactly the same way, which will give me an additional 2 minutes. And just a reminder, if you go long past 2 minutes, it will not let you shut it off until it cools, which is very annoying if you do that. So you have to pay attention to the timer, and when you get down to 2 minutes elapsed time, then stop it and start it again. Okay, we're almost at 2 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and stop it here. Just like that. Start it again. Very easy. That gives me 2 more minutes on my roast, which I'll be glad for when we get down to the end. Now we're going to just let this run until we get to first crack, which will take a little while. On the Behmor 1600, the time up to first crack is, I don't know how many minutes it is, but it's real similar to the Genie Cafe. But heats it up slowly, and then once you hit first crack, things start happening pretty quickly. All right, so we are pretty close to first crack. I can smell the smoke starting to come from the roaster. It just had that, I don't know if you know what I mean, but it's sort of a pre-first crack smell, like they're just getting ready to pop. You might be able to hear it. So I'm going to get quiet and we'll listen. Oh yeah, there's first crack right there. I don't know if you can hear it or not, but these big Finken Nazareth Packus beans are nice and loud when they pop. Yeah, and you can see the beans are getting a bit bigger, puffier, lighter. They're churning a little differently in there. It's another great indication of first crack. Of course, you can also hear it. It's one of the good things about the Behmors. In my experience, you can almost always hear first crack and second crack both. It's a quiet machine, but it's not sealed up airtight the way the Genie Cafe is. So you can hear it a little better, which is kind of nice. And it is a drum roaster, so those beans are turning over, agitating really well, and it's going to produce a really even roast, which is maybe the biggest advantage of a drum style roaster. Okay, so first crack is pretty much over, and now's where the fun begins. The Behmor has an exceptionally long cooling time. It cools pretty slowly because there's just a lot of metal and mass in that roaster. It takes a little while for it to cool. Plus, you're talking about a larger batch. So you want to anticipate this more. If you're used to something like a SR 500 small batch roaster, you need to anticipate earlier hitting the cool button on this roaster. And I'm just shining a flashlight back there so I can see better. All right, I can hear second crack. I don't know if you can hear it or not, this crackling sound. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the cool button, which cuts off the heating elements in the back. I don't know if you see that or not. That red glow from the back of the roaster is gone. The drum begins to spin faster, and the fans turn on, pulling cold air inside the roaster. The cooling cycle is important not only for your beans, but also important for the roaster itself to cool off. So you want to always make sure with every roaster you have that you let the cool cycle run until it wants to stop, at which point you can pull the beans out. So we'll just wait for that to finish. Okay, so the cooling cycle's finished. Now I'm going to go ahead and vacuum this out, so there's going to be some noise here. All right, vacuumed it out, and we'll just take this out, have a look at how we did. Just open the lid again, just like that. Pour them out. There you have it. That turned out great. Look at that. Just perfect. And I had actually right about maybe 3 minutes left when I started the cool cycle, so we could have gone a lot darker than that. So really, anybody that says you can't get a dark roast out of the Behmor roaster just doesn't know how to use it. A little bit, just a tiny little bit of experimentation with the batch size and the time, and also with doing that 2 minutes at the beginning and then stopping it and starting it. It's really easy. You end up with a nice roast, and I could have gone really dark. I probably could have burned this batch if I'd have just let the roaster go. So works pretty well.